So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of our season 2 here on F1 Manager 23 with of course Andretti Cadillac. Now if you didn't watch the last episode, go back and watch it because that was a fantastic race in Australia. It was Checo Perez who won from Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso. There was a couple of incidents, to put it mildly. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell colliding with each other. We had Sainz and Verstappen colliding when running P1 and 2. But Pierre bloody Gasly managed to finish in P5. It was a huge points haul for us. We were very, very happy with the performance. Unfortunately, Esteban did have an incident on circuit. He did end up being a DNF, so that was a disappointment. But Pierre Gasly did very, very well. So what does all that mean for the standings? I've got a lot to bring you up to date on before this race. We've had a big break between the last race in Australia and Baku. Championship-wise, Red Bull are leading the way in the constructors from Aston Martin. We're now up to P5 on 11 points. Most of that due to Pierre Gasly, who's now scored 10 points this season compared to Esteban's 1. Checo Perez is leading the championship from Max Verstappen, and then the two Aston Martin boys are chasing down the Red Bull drivers at this moment in time. Right, car-wise, we've had a difficult start with the car, but I'm hoping we're now starting to see some rewards coming through from our more patient development, shall we say. The first new car part we've had on is the rear wing, and the rear wing is a massive, massive bonus for us. If we just go to the warehouse and have a look at the rear wing and the rank on the grid, look at the difference that this new one has compared to the old one, and it's very important around low speed cornering, which obviously there's quite a little bit of that in Baku. So we've got that. We also had the underfloor come through, but it's not a major upgrade. It's only a little minor one, so we're not going to be putting this underfloor on. Instead, we are waiting for the development of the next underfloor, which is going to be completed in 12 days' time, and that will be a bigger boost. So we're being a little bit more selective this season around our upgrades. This weekend, it is a sprint weekend in Baku, so we've got 2 races for you. 51 laps around here. Is it a circuit that's really suited to a sprint weekend? Let me know down in the comments what you think. There's a 75 historic safety car chance, 75% that is. Expected strategy is a 1-stop, but a 2-stop can work as well. If I recall last year, I think we went for the 2-stop. It didn't quite pay for us. So we'll see what we can do, but I'm going to get through practice and I will see you in qualifying for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Final laps in Q2 for our guys. Gasly has had the measure of Esteban Ocon all weekend in terms of pace, but Esteban Ocon has got a grid penalty for this weekend due to that collision in Australia. But Esteban Ocon on this second lap, improving in both the first and second sectors, actually goes above Pierre Gasly. Now, will Pierre Gasly, who's yellow through the first and second sectors, drop out here in Q2? It's looking like it, because he's yellow through the first and second sectors as he's coming down to the finish line. Will he manage to get himself into Q3? Will he jump Magnussen? He won't. Doesn't improve. And although Gasly's been the quicker car all weekend, it is Esteban Ocon who is into Q3. So just the one car in Q3, and that is Esteban. So we didn't feel the need to go out for a second lap. So Checo Perez is on pole, Fernando Alonso in P2, Verstappen in P3. Esteban has got that grid penalty, and I believe Carlos Sainz has as well got a grid penalty. So that'll be interesting to see where they end up. But let's get to the strategy for the sprint race now and see if we can make any positions up on Saturday. So guys, nothing too dramatic on the strategy. It is a sprint race, of course. The soft compound tyre is the optimal tyre. Both of our guys are going to be starting on it. P10, P12. Let's see if we can make up some positions.
Our sprint today sees the drivers take on 17 laps of the Baku City circuit.
Expect to see plenty making the most of Baku's long, wide main straight. That's going to be their best chance to overtake and secure a strong result.
A sprint victory and points up for grabs right here. Now's the time for the sprint here in Baku. And it's lights out, and away we go.
We're going straight away. We're going to have a look at Checo Perez, who leads us away. We know how much he likes street circuits. Is Verstappen and Alonso come close into turn 1. It's still side by side for Alonso and Verstappen. Alonso's got the inside line and looks about he's just about got it done. Meanwhile, Esteban Ocon is in a battle with Alexander Albon. We went for the move early there, didn't quite manage to get past him. That Williams has looked particularly quick all weekend. So Esteban Ocon, he's going to have his work cut out trying to overtake Alexander Albon. I think about 4/10 was the difference towards the end of Q3. So yeah, very interesting indeed to see what he can do. But meanwhile, Pierre Gasly looking a little bit racy behind, but he's got Yuki Tsunoda in the Hugo Boss car trying to overtake him. Gasly getting his elbows out there a little bit, but straight away that Hugo Boss car of Yuki Tsunoda getting past the Andretti of Pierre Gasly. He's not best impressed either, is Pierre Gasly. So down to P13 early doors in this race, and Esteban Ocon losing a position as well. He's lost a position to the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. So both Andretti cars struggling at the start. Coming on to lap 4, and we are losing positions by the moment. Esteban Ocon now looks like he's finally just starting to come into his own a little bit, but he's struggling on these soft compound tyres to make them work. They are overheating a little bit, and that's not allowing him to keep touch with Yuki Tsunoda. So it's difficult at this moment in time for Esteban Ocon. Equally, Pierre Gasly having similar issues. He's dropped back to P14 has Pierre Gasly. So difficult start for both Andretti cars here. Meanwhile at the front, Perez is leading, but it's a battle between him and Verstappen for the lead, and Verstappen going for it into this tight right-hander. They just about give each other room. Surely they are not going to go side by side through the Cashel section. They are. Christian Horner must have his head in his hands here, but they've managed to get through safely. Good driving from the Red Bull guys, and Verstappen has the lead. Meanwhile, Ocon has dropped out of the DRS of Yuki Tsunoda, so he needs to get back in that sharpish, and Pierre Gasly needs to start using some ERS as well to make sure he doesn't fall out of this and go tumbling towards the back of this grid. Lap 4, Verstappen leads, difficult for Andretti. Lap 7, and Esteban Ocon has got the best seats in the house in this battle between Magnussen, Tsunoda and himself, because at this moment in time they've been a right ding-dong battle all the way through this last couple of laps, trying to jostle for position. But Esteban Ocon now looks like he might have just got the run on Yuki Tsunoda, and Pierre Gasly behind him is doing his utmost as well. You'll notice the tyre temperature at the bottom. That is a little bit of a concern for us, but we are managing the tyres better than other cars around us. So at the moment, I'm not too concerned about the tyre temperatures, as Esteban Ocon is going to get the inside line here. Does shove Yuki Tsunoda a little bit wide. Gasly's watching this with interest, and I'm hoping this battle that's occurring here is going to give Pierre Gasly the DRS as well. Let's just keep an eye on this, as Pierre Gasly got DRS. Keep your eye on this bottom right hand side. We can see that Esteban Ocon should have it, which he has. Has Pierre Gasly? Has. So there we go. Ocon is now pushing in to P12, and Pierre Gasly's got this caught these guys in front as well. So we're going to tell him to push on the fuel for a couple of moments as well. Doesn't seem to be too thirsty on fuel this circuit at the moment, but Pierre Gasly now and Esteban Ocon starting to make moves after a difficult start in this race. And there normally is a crash round Baku, and there has been today, but it's Nico Hülkenberg in P17. Let's have a little look at what's happened here. I mean, that is just not very good at all, to say the least. Nico Hülkenberg from P17 has caused a virtual safety car. It's going to be a long night for the Haas pit crew and mechanics getting that car back. The DRS is disabled for the moment. The race is neutralised under a VSC. We're going to take this opportunity to just cool the tyres down a little bit, because that is something we are concerned about. But just looking at the tyre wear, look at the difference between the other cars and us. So something to be very aware of for Sunday's feature race. VSC has ended, and Esteban Ocon, we've both got the tyres back down to temperature now, and Esteban Ocon and Gasly now got a lot of fuel to burn, and Esteban Ocon wasting no time at all having a look at Kevin Magnussen. I think Esteban Ocon is going to want to get past him as quickly as he possibly can here, possibly on this next DRS straight. Let's keep an eye on this. DRS will be open as Ocon goes to the outside, but doesn't quite manage to get a decent exit like the Haas did of Kevin Magnussen. But now the overspeed with that DRS open. Is he going to go for a move here? He's later on the brakes. Here's Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon looks like he's going to get this job done into this next right-hander, and he has. Well done, Esteban Ocon. Ocon up into P10. Pierre Gasly now is looking at the back of Yuki Tsunoda. I think he'll be trying to get back at him very, very shortly. But Magnussen fighting back with Esteban. Both our cars pushing on the fuel, and through the slow speed corners, that Haas seems to have the better of us so far. But Magnussen back up into P10, Gasly P13, Verstappen has had a good safety car restart. He's got 7/10 of a second on his teammate Checo Perez. Then comes Alonso, Russell, Stroll, Leclerc, Hamilton, Sainz, Albon, and K-Mag makes up the top 10 for the moment. I believe we've got a red flag in the sprint race, and it's caused by this. It was just Daniel Ricciardo and one of the McLarens going side by side, and that has caused a red flag in the sprint race. It's disappointment for the Hugo Boss guys, which are very nicely attired, it must be said. But yeah, red flag, so we will restart in the sprint. Right then, we're starting again, and we've had to do something with Esteban Ocon that I really didn't want to do, but I've put him on a set of medium tyres. Now, that is not for this race. It must be said that is not for now. But what that is purely because I didn't want to use a set of fresh soft compound tyres because it would have negated the chance for Ocon to have the two-stop opportunity tomorrow. So both our cars now going at it, but it must be said, Ocon is not on the better tyre. If he can hold on to a P10 here, I would be very impressed indeed. Everybody went for a set of fresh tyres, but I'm hoping tomorrow this decision is going to benefit us. But Ocon, straight away, he's up into P10. He's pushing Alexander Albon. Actually, Ocon's up into P9. Maybe the medium tyres are working a lot better for this Andretti car than the soft, but Gasly attacking on the tyres as well. Both cars pushing on the fuel, but Ocon looking incredibly racy on the medium compounded tyre. Verstappen leads us away from Perez, but Ocon, what a restart it's been for him as we ride on board with him. He's now looking at the back of Lewis Hamilton, and I'm wondering whether this medium compound tyre is just working a little bit better. Lap 14, Ocon in 9th, Gasly in 10th, but looking at the back of Alexander Albon. Maybe he'll go for a move here. Not quite, but lap 14, decent restart. Esteban Ocon asking about the tyre temperatures, but it must be said, Esteban Ocon on the medium compound tyre has done a fantastic job as we're on to the last lap of the Grand Prix here. Both our guys using all the battery for all it's worth. But here comes Pierre Gasly. The tyres are pretty much cooked now, but will he get a chance to overtake Alexander Albon here up towards the line? I'm not convinced he's going to do. The tyres are cooking. It's a very, very hot day here in Azerbaijan. But Esteban Ocon on the medium compounded tyre, what a performance from him. He's absolutely done a fantastic job there. Ocon will get P9, Gasly P11. What a shame he couldn't get P8 because that would have been a point for Esteban Ocon, but fair play to him. That is a good performance, but Verstappen will be on pole for tomorrow's Grand Prix. And so the sprint results, Max Verstappen winning as we saw from Fernando Alonso, got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Checo Perez P3, Lance Stroll, P4, George Russell P5, Sainz P6 has a grid penalty, Leclerc P7, Hamilton 8th, Ocon 9th and Albon 10th with Gasly 11th, but 2 grid penalties there, so I'd expect Gasly to move a couple of positions. Let's have a look at the strategy because we now do have options with both cars. So guys, only a 3-place grid penalty for Esteban Ocon. We are going to split the strategies. Ocon's we're not convinced with at the moment, but let's have a look at Pierre Gasly. He's got 2 fresh sets of soft compound tyres. Soft, medium soft is the option for Pierre Gasly. Apparently that is around sort of 6 seconds quicker than the one-stop, dependent on safety cars, of course. Esteban Ocon's going to start on the soft, then go on to the hard. We may try him on the one-stop strategy, but what we also may try him on is a 2-stop with 2 sets of medium. So we've got a lot of options with Esteban Ocon. We've got a lot of options with both cars, but P10, P11, let's see if we can get some more points today in Baku.
Final checks are being carried out on the grid, and it won't be long until we get underway. This could be an important race today for Lance Stroll.
It's a second row start there in P4. The trick will be not to slip backwards because there are plenty looking to capitalise.
And the time has come. Let's go racing. Here we go with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
We go, and straight away I've not turned them on to attack on the tyres, but I'm going to do that now. But yeah, both cars, I'm hoping for some points today. Obviously it's a little bit different for Gasly on this 2-stop. If we just have a little look at what's happening at this front, Verstappen is leading from Alonso. Alonso again, he cuts across quite aggressively there, does Verstappen. But Verstappen leading away. Tyre-wise, is a good split of soft and medium runners. Alexander Albon on the soft compounder tyre straight away, making some moves. As are we. We've got our two guys fighting. If these two guys career into each other, I would be very disappointed indeed. But I think they've got a little bit more sense than there are two guys. I don't want to be too aggressive on the tyres too early. We'll just knock it down to aggressive now because I am concerned about those tyre temps. We're pushing on the fuel because we can do that in the first couple of laps just to make sure that we stay in a decent position. But all the fighting in front of us, we can see Sainz and Hamilton going at it, Leclerc. And as we come up to the stadium section, Russell and Leclerc side by side. We've got Alonso and Perez battling it out side by side as well. Fernando Alonso will want to get in front of at least one of these Red Bulls. And at the moment, well, that Red Bull is Checo Perez. But Checo Perez defending astutely at this moment in time. We're actually going to ride on board with Fernando Alonso as he hops the curb a little bit there. And Fernando Alonso in P3 chasing down the two Red Bulls. So as we come towards the end of the lap one, it's 7/10 of a second the gap between Verstappen and Perez. Gasly holding onto the back of Albon quite nicely, and Norris behind Ocon. Lap one. And straight away we have a full core safety car, and it is Yuki Tsunoda. We saw a fair bit of Yuki Tsunoda yesterday in the sprint race, and now Yuki Tsunoda on the inside here just outbrakes himself and goes careering into the barriers. Yuki Tsunoda calls himself a little bit of an idiot. It's not for me to say on the Andretti pit wall. I've got to say the Hugo Boss guys are probably the best attired crew I've seen. It must be said. I really do like that Hugo Boss livery as well. So we're just going to conserve on the tyres a little bit. This possibly doesn't help Pierre Gasly's strategy as much as he may like. But Pierre Gasly in P10, Ocon P11, we can now save and harvest on everything basically. And we'll come back when we're back to green flag running, and we've got one car out already, and that car is Yuki Tsunoda. Interestingly, on lap 4, we've got a couple of cars pitting under safety car. Lance Stroll's in on to the medium compounder tyre as well, so that's a really interesting strategy from these guys. We're going to be promoted up. We've got a fair few cars coming in. We've decided not to go for it. Both our cars on the soft compounder tyre. Admittedly, it's a cheap pit stop, but I felt it was a little bit too early for both our guys. But a lot of the front runners are in. We'll see if that pays dividends. Okay, guys, so safety car is ending. Just to bring you up to date on the strategies, because this has been like a 2 or 3 lap safety car, I reckon we're going to swap to the one-stop. I think that might be the best decision now for us. We're going to go from softs straight onto the hard compounder tyre. I'm hoping our guys will be able to defend their positions at this moment. There's a bit of traffic for Verstappen and co to get through, and they're going to have to stop again at these guys on the medium compounder tyre. So I reckon the one-stop is the way to go now for our guys as we restart and Alonso gets us away. Gasly is going to be fighting with Ocon, but I'm hoping once we tell our guys not to drive in clean air anymore, because that was just to cool the tyres somewhat. So our guys now are not driving in clean air. But yeah, I'm thinking the one-stop's definitely the way to go now as we see Gasly. Ocon's already been overtaken by Lando Norris. We'll just watch that off the restart. Lando Norris, we were driving in clean air, so that may have hindered him a little bit. But Lando Norris just opportunistic down the inside, outbraking Esteban in fairness. So fair play to Lando Norris up into P9, and we can now see Gasly and Albon in front of him as well. So our guys now, it's all about keeping in touch with these guys in front, staying in the DRS train, and that will help us massively as Lando Norris seems to have the grit bit between his teeth here, and he's making it work early after this safety car restart, down to P8 and 9, but now on the one-stop. Pierre Gasly getting the bit between his teeth because he can see a charging Red Bull behind him of Max Verstappen on the medium compounder tyre. But Pierre Gasly getting the move done beautifully there. Fair play to him. It's not going to be long before Max Verstappen makes his way through. As you can see, Verstappen on the back of Lando Norris. But Gasly doing everything he can now to try and get on the back of Alexander Albon. Meanwhile, Ocon has been charging up to the back of this because we wanted to drop Bottas and also get the DRS and stay with this front pack. That was the idea for us. We've got a lot of cars behind us on the medium compounder tyre. These guys have all got to pit again. But on lap 10, Gasly is in at P7. He's hanging onto the back of Alexander Albon. If I switch the camera to the right view, there we see Gasly on the back of Albon. He's pulled out a second and a half on Lando Norris. We see Lando Norris is actually under pressure from Max Verstappen, but this is helping Ocon along his way because Ocon's just sat in the DRS of these guys, and it's pulling us away from the guys behind, namely Lance Stroll on the medium compounder tyre, who's battling away with Valtteri Bottas. So at this moment in time, looking okay for our guys, but Verstappen, I'm sure, will be up with Gasly very, very shortly. But Gasly has gone for the move. I'm hoping we're going to get a replay of that, because that looks a decent move as he gets his move done into this corner. Gasly at the moment, is there a more confident driver on this grid? I would be pushed to say so. Pierre Gasly, let's have a little look at this. So he had the DRS, of course, but then he outbrakes him. He goes down the outside. There's possibly a little bit of tyre banging there, but Pierre Gasly round Alexander Albon and now has got a Mercedes in front of him. I believe that is the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton, it is, and he's only a second and a bit behind, and we're going to tell him deploy on the ERS, because I think you can catch him, Pierre. Ocon just sat now in behind Norris, and Stroll's starting to make his way up. Esteban Ocon overtaking Lando Norris, getting the job done. Fantastic work from him. I think he got him before the DRS straight, if I'm in total honesty. Let's have a little look. I think he did. And Esteban Ocon proving that this car has got pace, and somebody else that's proving that is Pierre Gasly, because Pierre Gasly going for the move into turn 1, and Gasly is past Lewis Hamilton up into P5. And as daft as this sounds, he's also got George Russell in front of him, who he could possibly catch. As we see, is that Lewis Hamilton into the wall? Is that Lewis Hamilton into the wall? Let's have a little look at this. We see him getting the job done. The replay down at the start-finish straight. That is Lewis Hamilton dispatched, but is this going to play beautifully? Because Lewis Hamilton, who was fighting with Pierre Gasly, let's have a little look at this. Gasly doesn't do anything wrong, and Hamilton just crashes into the barriers. And Lewis Hamilton tumbling down the order. Is that going to bring out a safety car? I don't think it is, but what that is going to do is allow Pierre Gasly to get on his bike once again. He can see Leclerc and Russell in front of him. My God, Pierre Gasly. I just love managing Pierre Gasly on F1 Manager games. And Pierre Gasly now is on the back of Leclerc and Russell. He's fighting for a podium, ladies and gentlemen. Pierre Gasly is fighting for a podium, and I'm here for it. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen is stuck behind the Williams of Alexander Albon, and we're just going to tell Esteban Ocon just to get on with it a little bit, because he might be able to sit in this DRS. It's all about staying in the DRS. Lap 12, what a Grand Prix this is. You join us back on lap 13, because Pierre Gasly is just about getting the move done. And he has got the move done. Pierre Gasly has overtaken the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, and he's up into P4. We are just telling him to top up on the ERS a little bit as well. But my word, has he got some pace this afternoon, Pierre Gasly. On the soft compounder tyre, we are making these tyres work, and it's actually making me consider, do we go on the mediums towards the end? We'll consider all these facts, but at the moment, Pierre Gasly is fighting for a podium for Andretti. Esteban Ocon can't quite catch Alexander Albon at this moment in time. A little bit more disappointing for Ocon. We're going to have a look at the pit windows very shortly, but Pierre Gasly giving it absolutely everything at this moment in time, trying to get himself in a bit of clean air at times as well, just to cool these tyres down. But at the moment, he's going to get to use all the DRS again down this start-finish straight and tag onto the back of the Mercedes of George Russell. Lap 13, what a time to be an Andretti team principal. I can't believe what I'm watching here, ladies and gents, because Pierre Gasly is up into the podium positions. He's overtaken George Russell. He's just firing on all cylinders, he's Pierre Gasly. He's past the Mercedes, and he's up into third position. What a time. I could not have expected this after the qualifying in the sprint yesterday. Esteban Ocon's having a little bit more of a difficult time at the moment. He's sat behind Lance Stroll, but at the moment, that's not the worst thing in the world, because that can probably just about pull him up to the back of Alexander Albon in front. So not the worst thing in the world for Esteban at this moment in time. If we have a look at the tyre wear, we're doing particularly well on these soft compound tyres. We are considering a few different options at the moment, but Esteban Ocon, if he can stay in the DRS of Lance Stroll, this will help his race massively, but he doesn't seem to have the pace of Pierre Gasly, who is still at the moment just about in front of George Russell, but this will now start to change a little bit, because George Russell's going to have the DRS, and I would imagine he's going to be able to get past Pierre Gasly pretty shortly. We can see on lap 16, Pierre Gasly starting to lose positions, only to George Russell. But the man that we're concerned about at the moment is Max Verstappen in behind him. But at the moment, doing okay. One thing that we are noticing, because Gasly might win that place back very, very shortly, as we're going to ride on with him now, we are noticing that we possibly could make a one-stop from soft to mediums work here today. If we have a look at the strategy screen, just while Pierre seems to have sorted that out, this strategy now, as opposed to the hard compounder tyre, is apparently 7 seconds quicker. Even if we move this up, the way to go is soft onto medium. So both our cars are going to be doing the one-stop, but both doing a one-stop from soft onto medium. This could really, really work, ladies and gents. And on lap 16, Ocon is just struggling. Ocon doesn't seem to have the same pace as the cars around him, especially Alexander Albon. He's got a fast Ferrari behind him now. He's still on for points today, but he's got to use this this Ferrari to pull him up to the Williams, because he can't quite do it at this moment in time, and that's going to prove problematic for him, especially when he needs to get his battery sorted out as well. But Pierre Gasly's the man we're all watching in P4. And this is what we didn't want to happen. Max Verstappen has got past Pierre Gasly. Very frustrating point for him. Max Verstappen, obviously, one of the, well, if not the quickest man on the circuit at this moment. On those medium compounder tyre, it's going to be very interesting to see what he goes on to at the end, Max Verstappen. But Pierre Gasly down to P5 now. He's just got to stick with these two guys in front, which I've no qualms that he won't. In fact, I think he might give Max Verstappen a little bit of a run for his money. But Esteban Ocon can just not seem to keep pace with anyone around him at this moment in time. Pierre Gasly still P5. There's still good points on the board for us today. I think Gasly's tyres may have gone off. Lance Stroll has just managed to get past him now, and we are considering bringing him in early and going onto the hard compounder tyre, because at this moment in time, he's just losing positions by the moment, is Pierre Gasly. So he's now down into P6, and he's got a charging Ferrari behind him as well. We are just monitoring the pit stop situation and seeing where we can get him out, and whether to go onto the hards or go onto the mediums is the big challenge at this moment in time. Lap 19. Pierre Gasly is coming into the pits for the hard compounder tyre. We've looked at the situation, and I believe that the hard's the way to go. We can see Lewis Hamilton's the man that we may come out racing here. We need a good pit stop from our boys. Let's have a little look at this. It's not a bad one, 2.5 seconds. I reckon he's going to come out around P16. Where is Lewis Hamilton? Lewis Hamilton coming down the start-finish straight. I reckon Gasly's going to come out around him, and this may not be the worst thing for his race. He's now out in a bit of clean air. He's got Lewis Hamilton to fight with for the moment, but Lewis Hamilton is on hard compound. Is he? No, he's on medium compound tyres, so Hamilton's got to stop again. Gasly can push on these tyres now and really just sit in the DRS and use these a little bit. I'm not too concerned with that. Ocon is going to go onto the mediums. We reckon we've got a bit more of a window with Esteban, but I needed to get Gasly in as he was starting to suffer badly at the front. So Alonso leads from Perez. Verstappen's made his way back through beautifully, by the way. But Ocon in P9 at the moment. And on lap 23, Esteban Ocon is into the pits for his one and only stop. He's going onto the medium compounder tyre. Is Esteban, as we've said. 2.6, 2.7 second stop for Esteban. That's not the worst thing in the world. He's going to come out in front of Mick Schumacher behind his teammate, who has lost track of Lewis Hamilton by some distance. He can't keep up at the moment, can Pierre Gasly? If we have a look at the last lap, a 1:49.2 plays a 1:49.0, so very disappointing at the moment for Pierre. Can't seem to get these tyres fired up, but I'm sure this will come to him towards the end, but I felt we had to take the gamble when we did. So Esteban now out into P16. He can get the tyres warmed up, and we'll see where we go from here. Lap 20. We're starting to see a few more cars pitting on lap 26, all going onto the mediums. We've gone onto the hards with Pierre, remember. I'm hoping this wasn't a bad strategy call. We've got a few strategy calls right in the last few races. We've got a lot of cars in front of us to pit, but I'm hoping this is going to come back to us, especially when Esteban gets in front of him. I don't really want them fighting at the moment, but I need them to just DRS train each other to bring them back up towards Hulkenberg. So this could work. I trust them to do what they're going to do. But this needs to work for both of them at the moment. So Ocon and Gasly have got to work together on lap 26. Verstappen's now leading from Alonso. I don't believe there's pit yet. Sainz, Russell in P4, Leclerc P5 and Albon in P6. We're still on for points, but we've got to make this work. And we've caught the guys in front now, and Esteban Ocon is attacking the Haas of Nico Hulkenberg. He gets past him quite easily. And now Pierre Gasly will be the next one wanting to get past him as we have a look. Pierre Gasly, where are you? Pierre Gasly is trying to get past this car as quickly and efficiently as he possibly can. We're going to tell him to be aggressive on the overtakes as well. We want him to get past this Haas as quickly as he possibly can and keep touch with his teammate. That is crucial in how this race has got to play out with us. We're going to tell him to deploy as well. But Pierre Gasly has got to keep touch with his teammate because he's got the better tyres at this moment in time. And straight away we can see him nearly dropping out of DRS. This is not good for Pierre at the moment. As we come in towards the final section, Ocon's still fighting. He's now going to try and make his way up towards Hamilton. We should beat Hamilton today. Verstappen coming in to the pits. Let's have a little look. Verstappen coming out onto a fresh set of mediums, is that? I believe it is, yes. So Ocon is now battling with Hulkenberg, and Hulkenberg is managing to get back past him. I would have expected Hulkenberg to be coming in this lap. Is he going to come in, Nico Hulkenberg? Let's have a little look. I'd expect him to peel off into the pit lane, and he does. He does peel off into the pit lane. Gasly is now going to be told to be not as aggressive on the tyres. Just calm everything down, and we're back to as you were, lap 29. Lap 32, they're working together well, our two guys, and now Esteban Ocon is past Kevin Magnussen. He's dispatched the other Haas. He's up into P9, I believe now, Esteban. Pierre Gasly, again, he's just a little bit further back. He's now fighting K-Mag, but he's going to get the DRS very shortly, I would hope. Pierre needs to push a little bit just to ensure that he does. And get past K-Mag as optimal as he possibly can. We've had a few cars pit in front. There's only really Albon and Russell who haven't as of yet. Maybe a push for points here. Maybe we could have gone for the two-stop, but on lap 32, we're still pretty comfortable at the moment with Hamilton a further 7 seconds down the road on the soft compounded tyre for Lewis Hamilton. Albon is into the pits. He's going onto the soft compounded tyre as well, is Alexander Albon. He has a decent pit stop, unfortunately, but he's going to go tumbling down the order now. The disappointing thing is Pierre Gasly has dropped out of the DRS of Esteban Ocon. We're going to do everything we possibly can to get him back in it, but at the moment he's struggling to keep pace with his teammate on the medium compounded tyre. So Gasly, it should come to him towards the end, but I'd like him in that DRS if we possibly could. We are trying to tell Esteban to just slow down a little bit and let him back in it. But lap 34, Verstappen leading from Perez. We're in P8 and P9. Lap 38, we've got a flying Lewis Hamilton behind us now. The only thing I'm hoping for is Lewis Hamilton's tyres are going to die off, and this DRS train hopefully will work for us. But at the moment, we're running P8 to 9. Russell is on the medium compounded tyre, soft compounded tyre in front of us. We don't know if we've got this strategy call exactly spot on today, but at the moment, P8 and P9 we're okay with, but we've just got to defend from Hamilton. We can't let him through, because if he gets through, we're buggered, for want of a better phrase. We have made it work for around sort of 5 or 6 laps, and we defended brilliantly, but then it got to the point where they both defended to the inside. Lewis Hamilton saw the gap, and Lewis Hamilton is past one Andretti car and then managing to get past another as well. So Lewis Hamilton into P8, and our two guys now, we will have a good tyre offset towards the end, I would imagine. But hopefully with 10 laps to go, the time is now for our guys to really push on and try and get Lewis Hamilton. Ocon's going to be told to do it first. We are also a little bit conscious about Alexander Albon behind as well on the soft compounded tyre. So we are vulnerable here with 10 laps to go. There's been vulnerable, and Alexander Albon has profited from our possibly poor strategy call. Alexander Albon onto the soft compounded tyre, got the DRS. As soon as he split the two Andrettis, we'd had it, and Alexander Albon is now up into P9. And we are now P10 and P11. So Pierre Gasly has gone from ecstasy to disappointment so far. Hopefully this will come back to us in a few laps' time. But Ocon and Gasly, it's not looking possible. It's not looking promising, sorry, at this moment. Lap 44. We were scared of the threat of Alexander Albon, but Esteban Ocon has righted the situation. He's managed to get past the Williams car and knock him back down to P10. The tyres of Albon are dying off a little bit quicker now than the mediums. We got the strategy call wrong with Pierre, it must be said. It's the last lap of the Grand Prix for Max Verstappen. Pierre Gasly hasn't got that much more to give in terms of defence at this moment in time. The only thing we could possibly do is back Alexander Albon up, but I don't think Gasly at this moment can make the difference on these tyres. He's got the much better tyre now as Pierre Gasly. but I think we're just going to be a little bit too far back. We'll come back towards the end of the lap, but Verstappen's won this by 18 seconds. My goodness. Max Verstappen's won it at a canter from Fernando Alonso, but here is Esteban Ocon, who's got to be careful on his fuel a little bit here as well. He's got to deploy just for this final bit, but Pierre Gasly is going to be very disappointed. Another couple of laps, it may have got back into the points. He isn't going to score a point today. He may be disappointed with the strategy. I possibly would be if I was the driver, but he's just not going to get some points. It's P9 it's going to be for Esteban Ocon. The two Ferraris come in P5 and 6, but as we look at this now, Alexander Albon's too far back. We'll ride on board with Pierre Gasly because for some brilliant driving in that middle stint, we possibly didn't give him the everything we needed him to do today, which is a little bit disappointing for him. But we will learn, we'll move on. We didn't react as well as we possibly could have done. And Pierre Gasly comes across the line for P11. Let's get to the podium.
Now that was a good race result for Esteban Ocon today.
I think they'll be pretty satisfied with this result. They bagged some points and they're going to be pleased with their finish.
And no doubt, Verstappen fans will be celebrating the Dutchman's achievement.
What a great way to take their third win this year. They've definitely found their form.
Is it any surprise to see Max Verstappen spraying the champagne? Not at all. Max Verstappen wins with the fastest lap. The two stop the way to go. Fernando Alonso and Checo Perez made the one-stop work, as did Esteban Ocon. Disappointment for Gasly. I'm very disappointed for him. Driver standings-wise, Max Verstappen retakes the lead of the championship from Checo Perez in P2. Then comes Alonso and Stroll. The Aston Martin's looking punchy early doors in this season. Pierre Gasly stays where he is in P9. And Esteban Ocon is up into P12, gaining 2 points today. Constructor standings-wise, Red Bull are once again in the lead. We are looking at around 43 points. The gap to Aston Martin. We stay in P5 for Andretti Cadillac. We've got some more upgrades coming in the next few races, so hopefully that'll be a big benefit. But yeah, let me know down in the comments, was it purely a strategy decision or did we just not have the pace? Try and be nice. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend and ta-ra.